And we are back, and as promised, we have Jacqui Folks, Jacqueline Jacqui Folks, who is an author who lives in Eudora, Kansas, with her husband Mike, and she is the busy mother of 3 sons, and her middle son, Ethan, was diagnosed with autism. His diagnosis came at a time when there were very limited resources, so she found the time to go and look up all kinds of information that would be helpful to her son. And she is co-founded the Eudora A.C.E.S, Autism Community Education and Support Society. So Jacqui, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. And I'm holding up your book, Adventures with Big E, and this is Help with Hygiene. I imagine that there are going to be more in a series like this, but this is great because even this book, what I love about it, you know how when it's bedtime and it's time to read something with your child and you want to have that experience reading, but you want it to count for more.
Right.
This is wonderful social stories, and they have different chapters even within this book. It's not a big book, but for instance, the first one here is that Big E brushes his teeth. And then he talks through and says, he introduces himself and talks through how he brushes his teeth and why he does this and how it feels sensory-wise. But then if you want to read on, we get to see Big E do a whole bunch of things, including take a bath and
Yes.
all these other things all things that we want for our children to be able to do on their own eventually. But when they're smaller, we're going to help them through the different steps. I'm showing you here, Big E goes potty, and you can see that there's pretty much a task analysis that shows us all the different steps because sometimes our kids need to have this in so many different ways and so many opportunities for them to learn it over a period of time, and it can be exhausting to us as parents. What a great bedtime thing to read with your kiddo.
Exactly.
So love this. And as I said, other topics here including, let me just page through, Big E gets a haircut.
Right.
Yes.
You know, because that can be a big thing for our kiddos. Love the illustrations. Who did the illustrations for you?
An illustrator through Mascot Book Company.
Well, they're just precious is what they are.
Yes, and that section in particular took months of editing because haircuts were something that we struggled with for years and years and years. And I really wanted the sensory struggles to be depicted on the facial expressions.
Yeah, and here we have Big E gets dressed, and he talks about the things that bug him. I love this. You know, that there's a section here where he says, you know, the tags, sometimes the tags on clothes bother me. Sometimes the materials feel funny on my skin. If either of those things happen, I tell my parents and they cut off the tag or find another material that doesn't bother me. Now, you know, what a wonderful thing to be able to read this with your child, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times, so that they, you know, I mean, because this is what we do at bedtime.
Yes.
And, you know, we can do this with lots of different things, but for a lot of our kids, this, oh my gosh, this kind of stuff can be the source of frustration, right?
And these were all things
Yes.
you experienced with Ethan, correct?
Yes, for years and years. And we still struggle with the getting dressed part, dressing weather appropriate.
Right.
Which is one of the things, I mean, especially with social stories, depending on the developmental level, this book can be good for 2-year-olds to 32-year-olds.
Right.
It just,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's very diverse.
And Ethan is now 18?
He is now 19.
Oh, he's 19 now, and he's able to master all of the topics in the book at this point.
He struggles a little with like I said, getting dressed appropriately. We still have to help him.
And, you know, I gotta say, you know, we all have young men about the same age.
Right.
My son just turned 16
And my son is
about to
17,
be
about to
18.
turn 18.
Right? So, and the hygiene thing, you know, it's a thing. And I'm still, you know, saying to my son, these things are important to other people. I know not to you yet, but
Right.
they're important to other people.
Right.
That people will judge you, you know, if your fingernails are filthy and, you know, you haven't brushed your teeth. I can't emphasize enough how much I would have loved to have had this when he was 3 and 4, that we could have instilled all this in him. I love when Temple Grandin talks about how her mother instilled her with certain rules at a very early age, and she carries those through, and she's all about manners and hygiene and things like that, but she says her mother drilled it when she was little.
Right.
Oh, you guys, what a great book. So, I'm let you say anything, Jacqui, and I apologize for that, but
That's okay.
we needed to heap some praise on you. So, love that you did this. Let's start with, where can people get the book?
So you can get the book directly online at mascotbooks.com, but it's also available on Amazon. It's available at Barnes & Noble. It's available in electronic book form, so you can get it in Kindle and Nook. So it's just it's only been out live since July, so it's just popping up all over these places, but those are going to be your 3 main avenues.
Okay, great.
Wonderful. And so let's take a minute to talk about, because we want people to realize too that you're just an amazing parent. You're the president and co-founder, as Nancy said, of the Eudora A.C.E.S, which stands for Autism Community Education and Support Society. Talk to us a little bit about that organization.
A little bit about ACEs.
Yeah.
Yes, what you do, the work you do in the community.
So when Ethan was diagnosed, and I live in a small town, and there was nobody else to talk to. There weren't local autism societies. 16 years ago, there weren't all the resources now. So I just went to my local newspaper and kept putting articles out to try to meet people. And over time, I met 2 other ladies, and we together started a support group called E-Man for Eudora Mothers Autism Network. And then this over years transformed into ACEs. And what we do is we just try to answer as many questions people, especially in the beginning stages of the diagnosis, have. We help people with IEPs. But the main thing we do is every April we hold an autism walk here in our small town. And our schools do not get a lot of special education funding. So we then go to the autism classes, speech, OT, IRR, any special needs classes, and get a wish list of items that they need, and then we take that money and purchase those items for this school.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
awesome.
So the money you raise through the run goes to those purchases.
Absolutely, 100%.
How wonderful. So at this point in the game, with your son being 19 years old and having done this organization, what kind of advice do you have for parents who are just getting started now? And it's a different ball game now, right? Because there are more resources and there's more funding to get more services. But what advice would you give?
Network.
I love it.
Network, because that is what I longed for. My biggest source of information was reading Temple Grandin books. But I didn't have other people, bouncing ideas off of people, never losing hope. But I think also too, just knowing, having done this for so long, you're going to try things sometimes hundreds of times and they're not going to work, and you're going to have to start over again. And that's okay. You just start over again and you're doing the best that you can, and to just keep going.
Now, how are you coping with Ethan entering young adulthood? How are you coping with that, and what steps are you taking with that?
So we actually recently just went ahead and sought guardianship. We were hoping after all these years to be at a point where that wasn't necessary, but for us it is necessary. And he's continuing to live at home. But we, as well as I do, what keeps our kids going and keeps them out of regression is constant stimulation. So right now we have him in an 18 to 21 year adulthood bridge program. He goes twice a week to an autism program at our local community college, and he's in work study. So just like you start in preschool and you have all these steps just to get him through 12 years, we are now starting an adult transition to get him through the rest of his life.
Okay, great.
What an amazing story
yeah.
and an amazing resource for our community. This is a great book to have to do bedtime stories with. And, you know, I love to make the reading thing interactive. And this is a great book to do it with because you've got all these little vignettes. So you read the page with your child and you say, "Where's the cup?" And you have your child, you prompt them to point to the cup, right? It helps to keep them involved in the story that you're doing, you know. And then when they get a little bit older, you can say, "How does he feel about, you know, when he's brushing his teeth? How does it, you know, what is his face saying right there?" And I love that you work so hard on the facial expressions. So you make it an enriched reading environment for them, and they're learning on lots of different levels. So great book to put into your repertoire at nighttime. You can even, I mean, there's numbers here that show the sequencing, and you, in the beginning, you can say, you know, find the number 1, and they point to the number 1, right? And then you can say, later on, you can say, what comes after when he puts the you know, so you're learning before and after. There's so many things in this book that you can work on, but you're building the social story of we do brush our teeth every day. And it's many different steps, and there are parts of it that we don't always love, but we do it anyway, right?
Right.
Love it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here with us
Thank you,
for
Jacqui.
sharing this wonderful thing, and encourage people to find this on all major booksellers, including Amazon. Adventures with Big E. Help with hygiene. Are there going to be more books? Are you going to write on more different topics?
I've written 11.
All right.
11 books already.
Okay.
So we're
Wow.
just waiting. You know, we'd like for this one to take off. We do have an Adventures with Biggie Facebook page.
Okay.
Where we will post updates and story times. And right now we're just trying to decide what book number 2 will be, but we're really heavily just focusing on promoting book number 1.
Okay,
All
great.
right. Well, I'm with
Great.
you
Well, we'll
on
be on
this.
the lookout for the other books.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much for
Thank
being
you,
with
Jacqui.
us. All right.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.